And life went well for her after she quit being a Christian.
So I found this Ben Shapiro video I wanted to watch. He's doing a wokeism debunk or whatever, woke TikTok or something. And he's really laying into atheists on this. So I wanted to see what he had to say, see if his criticisms for atheism are valid, or if I have any retorts for him. So let's check this out. Regarding what he said about this girl, this is just some random TikToker. Like, she's just having a good time, okay? And the thing above her says, reasons I quit being a Christian. And Ben's response?
And life went well for her after she quit being a Christian.
Sounds like it did. Sounds like she's having a good time. Look, she's happy. She's being who she wants to be. Guess what? She's not tied down anymore. She can do whatever she wants now. So yeah, I would say life is a lot better for her now. So anyway, I wanted to listen to the whole thing. Let's watch it from the beginning, just start to finish, see what Ben Shapiro had to say.
Well, folks, with the decline of Western religion, meaning like Christianity, there have been a bevy of new religions to fill the gap. It turns out that the answer to religion was not a sort of rationalistic atheism. It turns out that the answer to religion was a bunch of crazy insanity that is essentially paganism. Welcome to woke religion.
Okay, wait a minute. What is paganism exactly, I wonder? You know what paganism is, actually. According to, like, Jews and Christians, according to the way that the term is used biblically or in a Christian context, pagan is somebody who worships a god other than Yahweh, the Christian or the Jewish God. That's what a pagan is. As far as Jews go, it's anybody who doesn't worship Yahweh. Plain and simple. So I'm not sure what he means by what is effectively paganism.
Christianity, that is essentially paganism. Welcome to woke religion.
But what does that even mean? Okay, let's listen to the first one here.
Oh boy. Let's get some fake pastors over here.
So the Bible never talks about homosexuality as we talk about it today. It never talks about men or women wanting to live in a same-sex committed relationship based.
That's correct. Yes, absolutely. You're right.
Relationship based on mutual love and consent. For example, the story of Sodom and Gomorrah is not about...
Dude, I love how Ben Shapiro didn't even try to rebut that. Absolutely.
Well, the story of Sodom and Gomorrah is not about homosexuality. It's about...
It is a little.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not at all. As a matter of fact, the story of Sodom and Gomorrah is about the ill treatment of the poor. That is why God went in to destroy the city in the first place. Now, yeah, there were people there who were, how do I say this in a monetizer-friendly way, looking to take advantage of others, we'll say. That's true. That happened. But no, it's not about that. Ezekiel, the book of Ezekiel, tells us Sodom and Gomorrah were destroyed because of their ill treatment of the poor. Quick interjection, this won't take long, I promise. I'd appreciate it if you watched to the end of the video, or at least a couple extra seconds, because YouTube bases its algorithm off of watch time. The more watch time a video has, the further the video will go. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I'm selling my book, Understanding Jehovah's Witnesses, 400 pages, and my second book, 100 Questions for Jehovah's Witnesses, which is about 80 pages. And you can find them both there on the website. Audio form, ebook form, whatever. It's about my experiences within the religion and the history of the religion generally. The 100 questions are intended to challenge a religious leader, so I'd appreciate it if you give it a read. Okay, back to the video.
It's about...
It is a little.
Sodom wanting to rape strangers.
Who happen to be of the same sex.
But...
I don't know what that has to do with anything, but okay.
The closest that we get to homosexuality as we understand it today, the Bible is actually very positive. When you look at the story of David and Jonathan...
No!
In 2 Samuel...
No, you idiot. No.
Okay, I can't speak to this. I don't know if this is accurate or not, and I certainly do not trust Ben Shapiro's interpretation of it. Let me just put it this way before we listen. You know what? Let's listen to it, and then I'll give my piece. Go ahead.
No.
Jonathan are out in a field, and when they are alone, they kiss. Later on, David says that the love that he shared with Jonathan was greater than any love that he had experienced with a woman.
Okay. I don't know. I've never heard that before. That's an interesting point. I have no reason to believe that, like, who's he? He's talking about David and Jonathan, right? Yeah, David and Jonathan. Okay. David was married to, like, 60 different women, wasn't he? Is there really any wonder as to whether he was, like, sexually deviant as defined by the Bible? Of course he was. Now, regarding his, relationship with Jonathan or whatever, I have no idea. I'll tell you this. I don't believe that we have the original texts at all. I think we get the general gist of what was trying to be communicated for the most part, but a lot of the stuff that's in the Bible, New Testament particularly, was communicated in a different language than it was originally written. Like, some of the stuff was said in Aramaic and then translated to Greek and written down. Or sometimes it even went through 3 different languages. And scribes, by the way, weren't even that good at writing or translating. In fact, a lot of scribes, they didn't even know how to read or write. They couldn't read or write their own names. They only knew how to copy. So I don't believe for a second that we have an accurate word-for-word translation of the Bible. We don't. But I think we probably have a general gist of what was being communicated by and large. If you're relying on a single word, that theological concept should probably just go right out the window. Like, that's not worth much. But I think they're about to argue over a single word here. I think Ben Shapiro's about to.
The love that he shared with Jonathan was greater than any love that he had experienced with a woman.
You mean like brothers in battle, which is what they were? The phrase.
I don't think brothers in battle usually. I gotta have a sound on my soundboard for this, right? What is it that brothers in battle don't usually do? Yeah, I don't think I have an appropriate sound on my soundboard for this, but let me put it this way. The love for a woman. I don't think that brothers in battle usually each other the way that was being implied there, but okay.
In Hebrew is ad David higdil, meaning that David...
Again, I don't think you have the original word there, Ben. There's no way in hell that it made it all the way through. In fact, scholars don't even claim that the original words made it all the way through. We have like 5,400 different manuscripts for the New Testament alone, let alone the Old Testament. So you don't have the original words. You can say the original word all you want. It doesn't mean that it's actually the original word.
The phrase in Hebrew is ad David higdil, meaning that David kissed him on the neck and was crying because they had to part until David wept greatly. And they read that differently so as to achieve some sort of same-sex relationship between David and Jonathan that literally...
Well, I don't think that, let's not count anything out here.
Literally does not exist in the text. You know what does exist in the text that I noticed that you're avoiding? Leviticus.
Got a mic right now?
I love how we didn't watch the entire TikTok thing, for one thing. For another thing, let's just go down this road for a second, shall we? Sodom and Gomorrah, Leviticus 18, and Leviticus 20 are the 3 Old Testament verses used to justify hating gay people. Sodom and Gomorrah were not destroyed for their gay people. It was destroyed because of their ill treatment of the poor, as I said earlier. Leviticus 18 and 20 may be followed by Ben Shapiro here, assuming he doesn't eat pork or shellfish or wear cotton and linen blends or any of that other junk. I don't know. But it's not followed by Christians. Shouldn't be anyway. It's the exact same reason why we aren't supposed to circumcise our children. Yeah, by the way, you do that, you're supposed to follow the old law. Christians are not supposed to get circumcised. That's against the rules. The point is that Leviticus 18 and 20 are irrelevant. They mean nothing to a Christian. So this whole mic drop thing is pointless. Quick interjection, this won't take long, I promise. I just want to say I'd appreciate it if you check my Patreon. owenmorgan.com/Patreon to find it. YouTube's algorithm goes up and down, so I can never predict where it's going to be. Having patrons gives me some level of stability. Okay, back to the video. The other 3 verses that mention it, 1 Corinthians, 1 Timothy, and Romans. I think it's 1 Corinthians and 1 Timothy. It might be 2 Corinthians or 2 Timothy. Anyway, the general gist of the 3 verses is, God, how do I say this? The general idea being espoused in those 3 verses is this. You know what? Let me just pull them up. Romans 1:26-27 is one of the verses that's commonly trotted out. So let's just read it here. This is the NRSVA version. For this reason, God gave them up to degrading passions. Their women exchanged natural intercourse for unnatural, And in the same way, also the men, giving up natural intercourse with women, were consumed with passion for one another. Men committed shameless acts with men and received in their own persons the due penalty for their error. Now, I went down a whole rabbit hole trying to figure out what the answer was to this. Like, is the Bible actually condemning being gay? And the answer that I found from a scholar is no, it's not. As the guy said earlier in Ben Shapiro's video, it's not condemning long-term gay relationships, like long-term marriages or whatever. It's condemning male prostitution, where the male prostitute is the passive participant. Bottoms, basically. God hated bottoms, apparently. Maybe he didn't hate power bottoms. Maybe if you're a power bottom, he's okay with it. I don't know. Anyway, being a bottom was condemned, and also pederasty, where an older man would take a young boy as a pupil and then assault him repeatedly. That was condemned by the Bible, and the reason that it was condemned in Corinthians, Timothy, and Romans, written by Paul, is because Paul was overly concerned with the way that the church looked, with image. One dude in the Corinthian congregation slept with his stepmother and was bragging about it in church. Seriously, that's real. And Paul, condemned it. So anyway, that's what those verses are talking about. Out of 32,000 verses or so, 3 of the 6 verses that mention it are irrelevant because they have nothing to do with it, or they were fulfilled by Jesus. And the other 3 verses aren't even talking about what we are dealing with today, long-term gay marriage. Anyway, yeah, I guess God doesn't like bottoms, but he's okay with power bottoms. That's my assumption.
If
I had a mic right now, I'd drop it.
And you would be wrong. All right, this is the girl from the beginning. Anyway, let's just take a look here. Here are her reasons. Mark 16:8 contradicts Matthew 28:8 and Matthew 24:9. Genesis 32:30 contradicts John 1:18. We could go through these contradictions for ever. The Bible contradicts itself. Matter of fact, funny enough, I have this thing pulled up here. Or I did. Yeah, here we go. Bible contradictions. It's owenmorgan.com/bibviz, BIBVIZ. I did a quick link to it if you want to find it. I'm not hosting it, but every Bible contradiction that we've found so far, there are a billion of them. Just click any random one here. Let's see. Get this. What kind of animals may we eat? You should not eat animals, says Genesis 12:9, Proverbs 23:20, Daniel 1:8. And then only certain kinds of animals may be eaten, says Deuteronomy 14, Leviticus 11. And then you may eat any kind of animal, Genesis 9:3, Mark 7, Luke 10, Acts 10. I mean, there are a billion contradictions in this thing. You just pick one more. What were the 12 or 13 tribes of Israel? This is an interesting one because there are more than just 12 tribes listed in the Bible. There are actually 20 or 30 tribes of Israel, and they make mention of some of them. The contradictions can be found at Genesis 49, Numbers 1, Numbers 13, Deuteronomy 33, Ezekiel 48, and Revelation 7. There are contradictions out the wazoo with this thing, okay? So yes, thank you for pointing out that the Bible does contradict itself. Absolutely. Now, let's see what Ben's retort is. It's going to be something succinct and to the point, and it's just going to be like a death blow, right, to the movement. Here's why the Bible contradicts itself. Lay it on me, Ben.
For her after she quit being a Christian.
Oh, I guess he's just not going to respond. He's just going to make fun of her looks. Okay, great. Well, I was hoping for more, but I guess I shouldn't expect too much from Ben Shapiro, huh? A man makes a deal with God to offer the first living virgin thing he sees as a burnt offering to his daughter. Yeah, that's a story of Jephthah, human sacrifice / murder. Yeah, that's, she's a TikToker. That's not exactly what happened, but whatever. Obvious sexism, yep.
Oh, goodness.
Well, let's see. It's literally a jumbled copy of older religions Christians tried to extinguish It's been revised and rewritten too many times. The original texts have been changed. Completely unscientific. Sure. Okay. Yeah, I agree.
Oh, goodness. I hate coping. Completely unscientific. This looks like a person who reveres science.
Why is he going after her looks? What do her looks have to do with anything? Maybe she's a doctoral PhD candidate. You ever consider that one? That's possible. I don't understand why this dude's going after her looks, but okay. Go on.
It's literally a jumbled copy of older religions Christians tried to extinguish. Wait, you mean that Christianity is based on older religions? Like, you know, the actual religion they say they're based on in the New Testament?
No. He's talking about Judaism. No, I think she's probably talking about Zoroastrianism, which Christianity did borrow from a little bit. And a bunch of other religions that they tried to extinguish. Not just Judaism. But I don't know, like, why are you taking that as a W? I don't understand.
Testament, because Jesus was Jewish.
Boom, roasted.
Obvious sexism, and then a bunch of stuff from the Bible. Frankly, I'm not sure the Bible can treat you worse than you're treating yourself with this outfit.
Boom.
I don't... Again, like, nothing he's giving us here is substantive. This is all just making fun of people. Are you kidding me? Are you going to give me something of value here? You're just going to make fun of people. Is that why the Daily Wire is so big? Relative to how big I am? Is it because he's just making fun of people nonstop? Now, funny enough, those verses about... she put Timothy 2:12. I think it's 1 Timothy 2:12. Let me just double check that. Yeah. 1 Timothy 2:12, I permit no woman to teach or to have authority over a man, choose to keep silent. This is the basis for the belief in the Christian church versus the old law, you know, Leviticus 15, Deuteronomy 22. Those were Old Testament. 1 Timothy 2:12 is the Christian church being established, and it's the basis for the Christian church not allowing women to have roles that involve authority, basically. Only funny thing about that, Paul didn't write that. That was added later by somebody else. We know this beyond a shadow of a doubt. It doesn't fit. It doesn't have the same writing style. Doesn't even look the same. It's not written by Paul. These verses were added later because the people who were like translating and copying the Bible and stuff, the scribes, they didn't like the idea that women might be involved. So they wanted to push them out. Now you tell me, did Jesus exclude women from his ministry? I think Jesus found a place for them. He found somewhere where women could fit in. Didn't he wash their feet and stuff? Anyway, the point is that Christianity originally was not sexist. That was added hundreds of years later. But whatever. Okay. Coming in with the facts. Coming in hot. Some people don't like that. Let's continue.
And then a bunch of stuff from the Bible. Frankly, I'm not sure the Bible can treat you worse than you're treating yourself with this outfit.
Boom, roasted.
Okay, a man makes a deal with God to offer the first living virgin thing he sees as a burnt offering in the book of Judges. That's
Jephthah, and that's not exactly right. Jephthah made a deal with God. If he let him win this war, then he would offer as a burnt offering the first thing to come out of his house. And the assumption is that God knew what that first thing was going to be because he's all-knowing and all-wise and so on, right? So he knew it was going to be Jephthah's daughter. When Jephthah got home, sure enough, his daughter comes running out to greet him after the war. And he started crying because he had to offer her as a burnt offering. That is one of a total of 3 examples of human sacrifice total in the Bible. Jephthah is number 1. Number 2 is Jesus, which... Is Jesus human? I guess, kind of, a little bit. It's an exception, right? And 3 is Abraham and Isaac. And he didn't even go through with that one. So God never demanded human sacrifice from his followers. But anyway.
Makes a deal with God to offer the first living virgin thing he sees as a burnt offering in the book of Judges. That's correct. And this is seen as a very bad thing. The book of Judges is replete with the verse, at that time, men did not follow God. They did what was right in their own eyes.
Boom.
What? No. The guy made a deal with God, and he fulfilled his end of the deal. Are you kidding? God was a monster in the Old Testament. Why don't you just accept that? What are you talking about with all this? Look, he put up the Hebrew like it means anything, as if we have the original language. We don't. Whatever.
Boom, roasted.
Mass extinction murder, and she points out in Exodus, Deuteronomy, and Genesis.
Sure, yep. Especially, you know, Noah's Ark and all that? Totally.
Certain areas where there is actual killing of tribes, you know, like in all of tribal humanity. Yes, there is some of that in the Bible.
Oh, so you don't stand behind all of God's decisions. You don't stand behind everything that he's ever said and done. That's interesting. Are you saying you think God is immoral? Because not only is genocide and murder happening, but it was sanctioned, in fact, ordered by God. So is Ben Shapiro acknowledging that the things that God does are immoral from time to time?
Welcome to the ancient world.
Boom, roasted.
Human sacrifice murder. I don't know why she can't spell murder.
Because it's funny. It's a TikTok. Jesus Christ. Does this dude not know what funny or fun is?
Actually, the Bible forbids murder. That's why you don't like it, actually.
Yeah, except God ordered murder like 60 billion times. Aren't there people out there who, if they existed today, Jews and Christians alike would have a moral mandate to murder them? Like Midianites? If there were any Midianites or Hittites, wouldn't they have to kill them under God's order? There's like a standing order for their death. Yeah, the Bible forbids murder in a, what do you call it? Like, in a kind of roundabout way. I get, yeah, with the 10 Commandments, sure, thou shalt not murder. That doesn't cover genocide that God sanctions, though, I suppose. Wow, great retort there, Ben. A Harvard graduate, by the way, Harvard Law School graduate here.
That's why you don't like it, actually. And as for human sacrifice, I wonder her feelings on abortion.
Boom, roasted.
Human sacrifice and abortion have nothing to do with each other, but I'm not even going to bother.
Oh, I'm sure this dance is going to fix things.
The Texas abortion ban went into effect today. Here are some dance moves to help you process this trauma and learn more about what you can do to protect your reproductive rights. Okay. Once again, I reiterate, it's TikTok. People are cringy. It's just about having fun, okay? You don't like it because you're like a boomer practically. And I don't say that in a literal sense. I say that in a mindset sense, okay? I know a ton of boomers who are the shit. Ben Shapiro isn't even a boomer, but he's got this mindset where he's stuck in the 1860s or something. Okay, now let's watch as this woman does something cringy, as is traditional on TikTok. You're not even allowed on the platform unless you're going to do something cringy.
This dance is going to fix things.
Think like that, I will love you endlessly. If you only believe me.
When does the dance start? Oh, there we go. Okay.
I guess it says the swinging you. I'm assuming that's what it says. Of course, I censored it with the duck quack, so you guys still don't know what the word is, but I'm sure you can guess. The new law effectively makes abortion after 6 weeks a crime, despite the circumstances that resulted in the pregnancy itself, like the case of rape or incest. Or life of the mother is, I think, not included in this equation.
I'm sure that'll make you feel better. Wow.
The off-air trombone is what it says. I have a trombone sound effect on my soundboard. Meaning pregnancies that are a result of are not exempt, nor is the life of the mother if there's a chance that she may not survive the pregnancy. Yeah, Texas and a lot of other states are doing some deeply backwards right now. It's disturbing stuff for real. And Ben Shapiro is just like, whatever, doesn't care. It's fine with him.
This person needs help.
This ban is guided by a deeply held Christian belief that life begins at conception. Yep.
That's not a Christian belief. That's a scientific belief.
Oh, my God. That life begins at conception? I mean, no, it's not a scientific belief. What do you mean by life? And what do you mean by conception? Do you mean when the embryo attaches to the uterine wall? Or do you mean when the two cells meet? Or what? Like, what exactly do you mean? Before you stand up to get a towel, is there a third person in the room with you? Before you stand up to use the bathroom, is there another person? It's not a scientific belief. Ben Shapiro is completely full of, as usual. For Satanists, the abortion ritual is a deeply held religious belief that one's body is inviolable, subject to one's own will alone. Right, let me tell you something about Satanists, specifically the Satanic Temple, led by Lucian Greaves. It is a non-theistic religion. They do not believe in God or Satan or whatever. Satanists use their position as a legally recognized religion as the basis to do everything that Christians do, to do everything that Jews do or whoever. They get all the rights as everybody else, right? So why not the Satanists? That's exactly what's happening here. They are suing to uphold their religious liberty to get an abortion if they choose, is the point. But their tenets are interesting. Again, non-theistic. The reason that they're Satanists is because they respect the character archetype of the rebel, of the person that fights the man, fights the power, that doesn't want to submit to authority, that wants to question, wants to understand. And I can respect the hell out of that. I don't call myself a Satanist, but I know lots of people who do. Tenets of the Satanic Temple. 7 fundamental tenets. 1. One should strive to act with compassion and empathy toward all creatures in accordance with reason. 2. The struggle for justice is an ongoing and necessary pursuit that should prevail over laws and institutions, i.e., pay less attention to the letter of the law and more attention to the spirit of the law, and care more about humans and human rights than the laws themselves. If human rights are being trampled upon, then the laws are wrong. Is the point here. One's body is inviolable, subject to one's own will alone. That's 3. Bodily autonomy. Number 4. The freedoms of others should be respected, including the freedom to offend. To willfully and unjustly encroach upon the freedoms of another is to forego one's own. That's an interesting one. I like that. 5. Beliefs should conform to one's best scientific understanding of the world. One should take care never to distort scientific facts to fit one's beliefs. 6. People are fallible. If one makes a mistake, one should do one's best to rectify it and resolve any harm that might have been caused. Yeah. One of the most important things that I ever learned in my life was how to say the words, I don't know, or I don't understand, or I didn't realize. It is so important and valuable to learn how to say that. In fact, in my opinion, saying that, I don't understand, I didn't understand, I don't know, or whatever, that's even more important than learning to say I'm sorry, because I'm sorry means nothing if you don't understand. Number 7, every tenet is a guiding principle designed to inspire nobility in action and thought. The spirit of compassion, wisdom, and justice should always prevail over the written or spoken word, i.e., read this in good faith, not in bad faith. This is really all about upholding people's rights and helping people. Written words should never take precedence over human lives or whatever. Those are the tenets of Satanism, if you were curious. And yeah, that's correct. Number 3. One's body is inviolable, subject to one's own will alone. As she says here, for Satanists, the abortion ritual is a deeply held religious belief that one's body is inviolable, subject to one's own will alone. It's not that they get abortions as part of their religious practice. It's that they believe that that bodily autonomy is just like inviolable. That's all.
Oh, the abortion ritual for Satanists is a religious belief.
We're coming for you. For more information, where to sign for these, blah, blah, blah. Okay.
The Satanists are coming for you. Okay. Anytime.
So Ben Shapiro didn't even respond to the fact that one's body is inviolable, subject to one's own will alone. Didn't respond to bodily autonomy, the bodily autonomy argument. He didn't respond to anything. You know what he did? He said, oh, okay, they're coming for me, huh? Anytime.
Okay. Anytime.
What's up?
My favorite thing is...
This is just sad, dude. Is this guy going to get serious at some point, or is he just going to continue to be like a complete joke?
My favorite thing is when atheistic leftists are like, we're going to war with you biblical Christians.
No, that's the thing. Christians or extremists, Ben Shapiro, a Jewish extremist, is trying to take rights away from everybody else, including atheists or Satanists or whoever. They're trying to take rights away. They are warring with us. They want to erase us. That's what's actually happening. And Ben Shapiro, I guess, is flipping it on its head because that's what makes his fan base feel good.
You biblical Christians in your crazy Bible. And everybody who owns a Bible is like,
okay, and my AK is ready for you in the safe.
That's great. Yeah, fantastic. Encourage people to gun down others they don't like. That's great.
Did you know Satanists don't even believe in Satan? They're non-theistic, and it's just a metaphor. Here's what they do believe in. Here are the 7 laws of the Satanic Temple.
Yeah, that's what we just read.
Number 1, one should strive to act with compassion and empathy towards all creatures in accordance with reason.
Which is why they call themselves Satanists.
Justice is
I don't what? He just did a +1 next to his head. I don't understand. Why is that a +1? What did he win? Why did he take a W just now?
Empathy towards all creatures in accordance with reason.
Which is why they call themselves Satanists.
Justice is an
That doesn't justify a W.
ongoing and necessary pursuit that should prevail over laws and institutions.
Oh, it's a revolution.
One's own body is...
Why is he giving himself +1s here? Every time you hear that little ding sound, the little coin collecting sound from Mario, I think, he's adding 1 to his score as if he's getting one over on him. Like, what?
Towards all creatures in accordance with reason.
Which is why they call themselves Satanists.
Justice is an ongoing and necessary pursuit that should prevail over laws and institutions.
Oh, it's a revolution.
One's own body is inviolable, subject to one's own will alone.
Unless you're a baby in the womb.
Number 4, the freedoms of others should be respected.
Oh my god, dude.
Including the freedom to offend. To willfully and unjustly encroach upon the freedoms of another is to forego one's own.
I agree with freedom of speech.
Beliefs should conform to one's best scientific understanding of the world. One should take care never to distort scientific facts.
How many of the Satanists wear masks?
6, people are fallible. If one makes a
Like, I don't understand why he's claiming W's on any of this stuff. Now, he said in response to one's body is inviolable, subject to one's own will alone, he claimed a W by saying unless you're a baby in the womb. No, that's the point, Ben. Here's the point. Imagine a scenario with me for a second, okay? Imagine you get in a car accident. It just complete accident, has nothing to do with anything at all. You end up at the hospital, you wake up, and you find that somebody had stuck an IV in your arm and started pulling your blood out of your arm against your will. You had no part in this, you had no reason, or you don't want this. Hell, maybe it's even against your religious beliefs to give blood transfusions. Who knows? Whatever. It is your right to stand up and pull that IV out of your arm and leave. And you should not morally face any charges, any consequences. Well, that person needed the blood. It would be really nice if you did do that. In fact, it would be probably the moral thing to do. If you get up and leave, that'd be wrong for you to do that. But you have the right to do it. Bodily autonomy. You control what happens to your body. You control what happens to your blood. When you get pregnant, it may or may not be by your will. There are a billion scenarios and examples of people who get pregnant against their will. And I'm not even talking about like children or cases of like rape or incest or whatever. I'm not talking about that. I mean things as basic as like pulling the condom off in the middle of it or something. This happens all the time, this type of pregnancy, where the person did not intend for it to happen. They did not want it to happen. They had no part in this. They don't want a part in this or whatever. Now imagine waking up in that hospital room and finding that there's somebody attached to you. That's what this pregnancy is, effectively. There's somebody attached to you against your will, drinking your blood, whether you like it or not. That's not how that works. Bodily autonomy means that you can control what happens to your body. Whether that person dies is completely immaterial to your ability to control your own body. So anyway, I don't care if it's a baby in the womb, and I don't care if it's the most famous pianist on planet Earth. It means nothing to me. I don't care if it's Maynard James Keenan himself from Tool. You don't have an obligation to give your body over to him. Anyway, I just Ben Shapiro is so completely full of with all of this. And everything that he says, every little soundbite that he offers is more propagandistic nonsense. Anyway, let's keep listening here. Let me step back and we'll listen from his last W.
Baby in the womb.
Number 4, the freedoms of others should be respected, including the freedom to offend. To willfully and unjustly encroach upon the freedoms of another is to forego one's own.
I agree with freedom of speech.
Beliefs should conform to...
Yeah, I love how he has George Washington there. Thomas Jefferson was the founder of the Enlightenment movement, one of the founders. Believed in freedom of speech to the death, and was also a deist, didn't believe in all of the supernatural stuff, and was one of the founders of the separation of church and state. Before Thomas Jefferson, that wasn't really a thing. You were the religion of whatever state you lived under. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Dude wants to bring us back to a time where church and state are inextricably linked, while he pumps up George Washington and Thomas Jefferson and everybody else. Whatever.
Is to forego one's own.
I agree with freedom of speech.
Beliefs should conform to one's best scientific understanding of the world. One should take care never to distort scientific facts.
How many of the Satanists wear masks?
6, people are...
Oh, I see. He says how many of the Satanists wear masks because you should conform to your best scientific understanding of the world. That's their best scientific understanding of the world, that masks help prevent the spread of disease. Whether it's true or not, it's irrelevant. I don't understand. Why is he counting this as a W? None of these are W's. It is true, by the way. Masks were helpful during COVID.
Masks.
6, people are fallible. If one makes a mistake, one should do one's best to rectify it and resolve any harm that might have been caused.
By, worshiping Satan?
Every tenet is a guiding principle designed to inspire...
They're not worshiping Satan. They're worshiping... they respect the archetype of the rebel, the fighter, the questioner. Worshipping Satan really has nothing to do with any of this.
It's best to rectify it and resolve any harm that might have been caused.
By, worshiping Satan?
Every tenet is a guiding principle designed to inspire nobility in action and thought. The spirit of compassion, wisdom, and justice should always prevail over the written or spoken word. So basically, be kind to one another because you want to be, not because you're scared that your God is going to punish you in the afterlife. And believe science. So much child sacrifice.
Okay, so a few things. Religion itself tries to say, at least Judaism, that the reason that you do the right thing is because you love God and fear him, not because of what comes in the next world.
Okay, I hope not. You're telling me that Judaism... You're trying to tell me that Jews, like Ben Shapiro, you're trying to tell me that you, Ben Shapiro, only do good things because you worry that God wouldn't like it if you do bad things? So if there was no God, you would just go out and murder people wantonly? You wouldn't even care? Am I reading this correctly? That's kind of disturbing. Maybe you should get help for that. Go on.
World. As far as all of the ethical precepts that she brings forward, one of the things that's so irritating about so-called...
What did that have to do with anything? He just said it's because you love and fear God and you're not worried about what happens in the next world. Was that supposed to be a W against what the girl said? Was that supposed to be a retort of some sort? What's your point?
All of the ethical precepts that she brings forward, one of the things that's so irritating about so-called rationalistic atheists, the basis for their entire moral system has roots in biblical Christianity. And then
No, it doesn't. I guess you could call me, a rationalistic atheist. One might refer to me that way. My moral system has roots in the society in which I live. And the society in which I live has its roots, has its moral roots in the Enlightenment movement, which was started by Thomas Jefferson, or one of the founders of the Enlightenment movement was Thomas Jefferson. The idea that you don't need God to accomplish your goals. You can be a good person on your own, and you can respect people's rights around you. For the people, by the people, so on and so forth. As opposed to for God, through God, by God, with God, all of that other junk, right? As the Bible says. The Constitution and the Bible are contradictory. The first commandment contradicts the first amendment. So, no, I don't get my morals from the Bible. And the society that I live in doesn't get them from the Bible either, much as he would like to disagree. It's just nonsense.
Has roots in biblical Christianity. And then they pretend that they sort of got this out of their own heads. It's very irritating.
Not defending a devil worshiper is crazy. That's the thing. I'm not religious. This is not real. It's fake. Everything is fake and made up. But just know you're not going to the heaven that you believe in with the way that you're acting. You hypocritical ass. You've done everything wrong that you hold so highly of in the book. You've already. It's too late for you, bro. It's nothing you can say to fix it. You be in here judging all day, every day. You be on Twitter talking to any and every person you see, bro.
Fair enough. The Bible says don't judge, right? Don't judge lest ye be judged.
Be saying
that's in the book of Romans, I think.
Bro, you be saying you're not supposed to be doing. You be doing you're not supposed to be doing. You're a hypocrite. I'm not defending nobody. I'm just calling out the people who act like they high and mighty and above everybody else. As a person who's not even religious, I'm praying for you.
Okay, so I'm just going to point out here that he's accusing literally everyone else of judgmentalism and then being the most judgmental person on the internet.
Case dismissed.
Oh, my God. This dude just said he's not religious. He doesn't care. He's just saying that you are doing exactly what the Bible said not to do. How can we look, oh my God, it's so stupid. I don't even know what to do with it. Jesus Christ. And he got Matt Walsh in here to bang the gavel.
Get to more on this in just 1 second. First, are you tired of your favorite cut of beef or chicken?
No, I'm not. I'm happy with my favorite cut of beef and or chicken. Thank you. Just jump forward. Okay. Let's continue.
The right-wing media has dubbed me woke pastor. They mean it as an insult to make fun of me, and they often use this descriptor whenever they're trying to discredit people who are pointing out systems of injustice. But here's the thing. To be woke means to be awakened to the needs of others, to point out systems of oppression and marginalization in the world.
Right, so we're using different definitions. Ben Shapiro has his definition, which I assume means idiot. And this pastor is using the definition, being aware of systemic injustices in the world. So this pastor is aware of the fact that there are systemic injustices, and Ben Shapiro just thinks idiot, okay? And his retort? To roll his eyes and to snort.
Point out systems of oppression and marginalization in the world. And let's get right down to it. Jesus was woke.
Oh, he absolutely was.
Jesus pointed out systems of oppression, and that's what got him killed. He made the principalities and the powers, the Roman Empire mad, and they crucified him.
Yes, absolutely. Oh my God, that's 100% correct. Jesus did not like rich people. He couldn't stand them. He said it's easier for a camel to fit through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to get into the kingdom of God. And people come up with all kinds of excuses and reasons why Jesus isn't actually saying rich people can't get into the kingdom of God. No. Jesus said if you're rich, you're not getting into the kingdom of God, okay? If you're rich and you don't help the poor at the very least, bare minimum. And, like, help the poor a lot. Like with almost all of your wealth. People say there's a gate at the front of Jerusalem called the Eye of the Needle. No, there was no gate called the Eye of the Needle. That's false. People say, well, it was actually a mistranslation that really meant rope. No, it said camel. It said it's easier for a camel to fit through the eye of a needle. It doesn't get more straightforward than that. The reasoning behind the whole rope thing is the word camel is one letter off in the language from the word rope. Kind of like camel and cable. They're very, very similar, right? It said camel. You can't get around it. I'm sorry, man. I don't know how else to say this. Jesus stood for the oppressed. He stood for the downtrodden, for the poor, for the homeless, for the hungry, the thirsty, for the imprisoned. He cared for them. Those were his people. Now, how's Ben Shapiro going to flip this around to be a situation where Jesus absolutely hated those people, and he loved AR-15s, and he loved wearing the American flag? Jesus was wearing an American flag crown of thorns and stuff all the time, right?
Principalities and the powers, the Roman Empire mad, and they crucified him. So if being the woke pastor means that I'm following in the footsteps of Jesus, I'm okay with that.
That's not what being the woke pastor means.
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Wokeism.
Okay, that was a really stupid reference, but I love that movie to death. It's fantastic. Rob Reiner, by the way, the guy that directed this movie that he just pulled this clip from, is very deeply opposed to Christian nationalism. In fact, I think he released a movie about it. Anyway, let me look that pastor up, see if I can find it. Hold on. Oh, here we go. This is the guy right here.
The right-wing media...
Right-wing Messi has dubbed me the woke pastor, but hey, Jesus was woke. Interesting. How many views does this have? How do you tell how many views a TikTok video has? There's got to be a way to tell, right? Has 650 likes. My guess is around 40,000. Yeah, I can't tell how many views it's got. That's really, really sad. I'm going to guess about 30,000. 40,000, just based on my knowledge of social media and how it works and how many likes it's got and stuff. Okay, go on.
Wokeism is a system that suggests that all inequalities of outcome are results of systems of oppression. That is the...
No. What? Hold on. Let me just really step back and listen one more time. Think about what he's saying here.
Is a system that suggests that all inequalities of outcome are...
All inequalities of outcome...
Results of systems of oppression.
Are the result of systems of oppression. No. That's factually wrong. That is not what anybody thinks, okay? Nobody believes that all inequalities of outcome are the result of systemic oppression. However, there are one of two reasons why, I'll just throw something out. The black community has less generational wealth than the white community. Hell, let's just hypothetically, let's say there are one of two reasons why black people make less money on average, say 93% of white people. One of two reasons. Either black people are inferior inherently, like they're just not as good as white people, like they're not smart, they're not as cunning or intelligent or quick or whatever, or it can be fixed. One or the other. Now, which one is it, Ben? Ben Shapiro seems to be of the belief that this stuff doesn't need to be fixed, that people should just let the free market decide or whatever. What reason is there? Is there a reason why black wealth is lower than white wealth? Is it inferiority, or are they just not as good, or what? Either it's cultural or it's genetic. Can only be one.
Wokeism is a system that suggests that all inequalities of outcome are results of systems of oppression. That is the basic definition of woke, and it is a lie. Jesus, as it turns out, has a lot to say about the rules of the moral road that apply to individuals. Jesus does not believe in the breakdown of people by race.
Jesus believes in taking care of the poor, the downtrodden, the minorities, the broken, the hurt. He believed in taking care of people. All right, let me put it this way. He said, when I was hungry, you fed me. When I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. When I was homeless, you gave me somewhere to sleep, or whatever. And the sheep said to him, Lord, when did we do those things for you? And he said, what you did to the least of my family, you did to me. So the people who are suffering the most, the people who are not performing as well as others for whatever reason, be it genetic or whatever, the people who are suffering the most, Jesus cared about the most. So, like, what Ben Shapiro is saying here is absolutely antithetical to what Jesus taught. But okay, whatever.
Of people by race, for example.
I don't trust the Bible because it was written by man. Who else gonna write it? A dog? A giraffe? The animals that Noah's Ark? Why is...
Oh my God, I know that. That person, I've done videos on her. I forget her name now. She's like a super giga religious nutcase.
Hot take.
Not an option. I don't get it. If he's all powerful and can do anything and everything effortlessly, why does he burden humans with the task of laboring for him? Like, why couldn't he do it himself? He allegedly created this entire earth in 7 days, made a man from dirt, made a woman from that man's rib, got a woman pregnant without her permission or any physical contact. But for some reason, he couldn't do something as simple as write his own book. It concerns me that this doesn't raise any red flags for those that believe in this. I think a really good question would be, how and why does the British Crown own the copyright to the Bible?
It doesn't. Again, these are just like weirdo TikTokers, okay? You shouldn't be putting any credence in what they say, but okay, go on. The Bible is not copywritten.
I have copies of the Bible at my house. I don't pay royalties to the British Crown. Also, the reason that God would convey the language of the Bible to man is because man is the recipient of the language of the Bible.
Oh my God. Wait, say that one more time?
The language of the Bible to man.
Hold on.
Also, the reason that God would convey the language of the Bible to man is because man is the recipient of the language of the Bible.
Okay, but God could write it, couldn't he? Couldn't he put it down on paper? Why do we have 5,400 different manuscripts for all of the, 27 books of the New Testament? Why do we have 5,400 manuscripts for them? Most of them are just little scraps, little pieces, credit card size, little things back and front, and that's all we got. A sentence at a time. Why? If he's all powerful, why couldn't he write it himself? And why couldn't he preserve it? It wasn't even preserved. I don't understand.
Oh my God. I get it. In fact, in the Bible, it actually suggests that the original 10 Commandments are written with the finger of God. So God theoretically actually did write the 10 Commandments in the
theoretically. I love how he says theoretically.
First set of tablets that Moses then breaks. If you're a Christian, by the way, Jesus was incarnate and also spoke to people.
Yeah, but Jesus wasn't God. He didn't believe himself to be God. The apostles didn't believe him to be God. Nobody believed he was God when he was on earth. It wasn't until hundreds of years later.
An incarnate human being. I'm confused by this entire line of argument. It's very stupid.
This is just your friendly reminder that for Satanists like me, the Satanic Temple is a federally registered and recognized religion. And that means that religious freedom in America is about to undergo a major test, thanks to Republicans. Passing laws about allowing religion in schools, giving someone like me the freedom to teach the kids about Satanism.
Well, that's the thing. You know, I'll leave it at this because I can only go for so long with this. But I've come to find that Republicans don't seem to care about consistency. There's no moral consistency here. You know, Ben Shapiro and Greg Abbott and other big famous Republicans like them have been complaining about free speech on campuses for years now. How nobody can say anything on campuses, and campuses used to be bastions of free speech, and now everyone is being silenced and all this other garbage, right? And then Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, said we should pull loans or funding or anything from anybody who participates in a protest in favor of Palestine. What happened to all that free speech stuff? I thought that they were in favor of free speech, the people I just listed. Ben Shapiro, Greg Abbott, any other Republican thought leaders. What happened? You know what happened? They didn't care. They never cared. There was never any point in time where there was like an overarching principle that they adhered to. You know the overarching principle that they adhered to? I'm right and you're wrong, and I'll do whatever it takes to destroy you. That's the overarching principle. So this girl is aptly pointing out that Satanists are a recognized religion and can teach kids in school legally. Well, guess what? Unfortunately, the Republican Party is just going to say, ban Satanists from having clubs in school. There's no overarching moral principle to be found in this whole situation. Anyway, I love our optimism and we should keep it up, but we're not dealing with people with, you know, 2 brain cells here. We're dealing with people who have an ends justify the means mentality ultimately. They have an idea, they have an end that they want to get to, which is, I want to get reelected, or I want to force Christianity down your throat, or I want to whatever. And they will get there by any means. Talking about Greg Abbott or even Ben Shapiro. They will get there by any means necessary. It's irrelevant what they have to do as long as they get to where they want to be. Ends justify the means. That is an extremist mindset. It's the heart of an extremist mindset at the end of the day. That is one of the primary things that I have a problem with over anything else. I mean, Ben Shapiro is a Harvard-educated law graduate. He's a lawyer from Harvard. He's not stupid. It's not appropriate for me to play this for him.
I'm dumber than a box of rocks in a lot of areas.
Or this.
I've lived for the Lord my whole life, and I was dumb as a box of rocks and didn't know it.
It doesn't make sense for him because that's not him. So why is he acting like this?
I'm dumber than a box of rocks in a lot of areas.
Why is he pretending? What is the overarching principle that's pushing him to pretend to be dumb as dog? I gotta say, like, as a closer, though, let me just show you my favorite clip from Ben Shapiro. I'll let it play. It'll play us out, as Bill O'Reilly says. All right, play us out, Ben.
We'll do it live. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
All right, play us out.
In third world countries, the suicide rate is significantly lower than in first world countries. Suicide actually seems to be a privilege of the upper classes, if you actually look at it from a financial perspective.
You may feel I took that out of context. I didn't. There was no context in which that made any sense. You can go watch the video. It's on his channel. It's like his most popular video of all time. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. I looked that TikTok up as 12,000 views. Wow, I was way off. 650 likes for 12,000 views. I thought it had 30 or 40,000 views on it. I'm surprised. TikTok just works differently, I guess. Interesting. Well, thanks for checking that out. I don't know why I had so much trouble finding the answer. Bizarre.